The opposite way. I'm going to ask you to give me the verse. No. I'm going to give you more information. I just wanted to see what your reaction would be. What do you mean we're going to give you the verse? I'll just pick one. I do want it out of Proverbs, though, but not Proverbs 27. And I'm going to be talking about Jonathan and David today. Jonathan and David and their relationship. Does anybody have any guesses yet? Yes? He's got it. Proverbs 18:24. A man that hath friends must show himself friendly, and there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. Friendship. Today's one of those days where, most of the time it's okay. Today, I'm struggling. All right, let's go ahead and get started this morning. We're going to be in two places in the Bible. 1 Samuel chapter number 20. I'll just check my notes and make sure that's right. Yes, 1 Samuel chapter number 20, and we're going to look at quite a few verses in the book of Proverbs. So, not one chapter, just a verse here and there to make application. The Bible does have a lot to say about friendship, and as most of you know, friends kind of have some influence in how you behave and act in your lives, and therefore can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. So it's good to have good friendships, and it's good to avoid the bad friendships. So we're going to look at a few things about friendship today, and hopefully help you guys understand what can be a good friendship and see where the bad friendships might be. Let's go ahead and ask the Lord's blessing on the time that we have in His Word, first and foremost. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, I pray that you would just help me to be set aside today and get out of the way, and that the message that you have for us today would be spoken clearly and plainly, and that we would just be able to understand and know how to love you and serve you better. We thank you for the Bible that you give us, the words that have all that we need to know for life, and pray that you would just strengthen the time that we have here today in your word. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, 1 Samuel chapter 20. Now, a couple things about friendship. Friendships are important in your life, important for several reasons. I heard one preacher say it this way: you have confidants, comrades, and companions. Your confidants are the people that are there because of you. They're there because of you. Your comrades and your companions are there because of what you do or what you're doing. And by that I mean you'll have people that'll be there because you stand for something, and that's the only reason they're there for. They're not there for you. They don't really care about you, just because you stand for something. So they're there. And there will be people that will be with you and stand with you because you stand against something. They don't care about you. They just care about what you're standing against. And so when you stop standing against that, they'll leave. But then you have the people who are standing there because they're standing there for you, your confidants or your friends. And a lot of people mistake the people that are companions and comrades as friends. They're not your confidants or your friends. People that you can trust. And as you see through the relationship of David and Jonathan, that they had a friendship that was a good friendship. And it's important because your friends will influence what you do and how you do it. And they can strengthen your walk, they can strengthen your stand, they can strengthen what you're doing, or they can turn you away. Peer pressure, you know what I mean? I know we're adults, so we're thinking, that doesn't happen too much. But I will say this: the best friend that you have on this earth should be your spouse. And if you don't have a spouse, you have somebody that you often talk to a lot and you confide in a lot. And that person hopefully is your friend, and they're a good friend. We're going to see characteristics of friendships today through Jonathan and David's relationships. The Bible says, and I haven't got that, I'm going to mark that, make this possible. I didn't mark all my passages today because I figured they're pretty close to where they're supposed to be. All right, Proverbs 18:4, a man that hath friends must show himself friendly, and there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. A lot of people say, I don't have any friends. Well, you don't have any friends because you haven't gone to find any friends. You haven't made an effort to have a friend. Nobody wants to be a friend with a recluse, someone who's living in the mountain hut, away from the world, wanting nothing to do with talk to anybody. Nobody really cares because that person doesn't care. So you can't have a friend if you don't go and talk to somebody or make a friend. I've had people through the years, even in as young as high school and stuff, I have no friends. Well, it's because you haven't made an effort to make a friend. Almost everybody can have a friend. There's all sorts of people out there. None of us are the same, but we have very few personalities, and there's a few personalities that everybody fits in, and you can find somebody that has some similarities to you, cares about the things that you care about and stuff like that. But a man that hath friends must show himself friendly means that you can't just sit at home and complain that you have no friends because nobody comes over. Well, they're not going to come over if you haven't invited them or you haven't gone to see them or talked to them. So, you do something nice for somebody, they do something nice for you. Friendship. Let's go ahead and look at 1 Samuel chapter 20, and let's start talking about the friendship that David and Jonathan had. Now, realize this, that this is not a normal situation. Remember, Jonathan is Saul's son. Saul is trying to kill David. Yet his own son and the guy that he's trying to kill are friends. Okay, so it's kind of like one of those situations where you're like, divided loyalty. But there doesn't have to be. Jonathan still he didn't do anything that was against what his father wanted, but he also was true to David, his friend, right? And he assisted wherever needed to keep David from being killed. And maybe that wasn't what his father wanted, but that's what God wanted, so that's how it happens. 1 Samuel chapter number 20, we'll look at the first characteristic of good friendship in the first couple verses there. So 1 Samuel chapter 20, verses 1 through 3. And David fled from Naioth in Ramah, and came and said before Jonathan, What have I done? What is mine iniquity? And what is my sin before thy father, that he seeketh my life? And he said unto him, God forbid, thou shalt not die. Behold, my father will do nothing, either great or small, but that he will show it me. And why should my father hide this thing from me? It is not so. And David sware moreover, and said, Thy father certainly knoweth that I have found grace in thine eyes. And he saith, Let not Jonathan know this, lest he be grieved. But truly, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, there is but a step between me and death. So here you have, in this friendship, a bit of honesty. David says, your father's going to kill me. Jonathan says, nah, he won't do that. I would know. I would find out. I mean, I'm in the house. I kind of know my father. And David said, no, I think your father's going to hide it from you because you and I are friends. And it's true, maybe there was something like that going on. But David served the king. He wasn't somebody that was an enemy of the king. And the reason that he ended up getting his life in danger most likely was because that Saul knew he had lost his kingdom. And even though Jonathan knew that his father was the one that was after David, they still had a friendship and they were still able to communicate and talk with one another, right? They didn't let the trials of life or the problems of life get in the way of a friendship. David confided in Jonathan, as you'll see throughout this passage. He confided in him different areas of his life, what he wanted to do, where he wanted to go. He told Jonathan things that he didn't tell Saul. Remember, I'm getting ahead of myself. He wanted to go, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's not go there. So a friend, a good friend, is someone that you can basically tell anything to in confidence. You don't have to worry about that information that you're giving to them ending up in the wrong hands or anywhere else for that matter. Oftentimes, a good friend is someone who you have spoken to and confided in some information in, something that is close to you, something that might be hurting you, something that might be causing you some trouble. And that friend, because they're a good friend, has not gone to the next person and said, hey, I bet you didn't know this about Alan. He's over here doing this. And that's not a good friend. That's a bad friend. And those are the people that you don't want to be confiding in. When we talked about the confidants, the comrades, and the companions, people that are around you, not everybody that's around you, not everybody that's in your life is your friend, as a real friendship would be. And as long as you know who your friends are, you can operate and function like you need to without any fear of things coming out. All of us have troubles, trials, tribulations, temptations, issues in our life. Nobody is exempt from it. And you can't get through them on your own. Some of them you can, some of them you can't. We weren't designed to operate on our own. We're designed to have friendship. That's why I said, if you're married, your best friend should be your spouse, because you're with them all the time. They know everything about you. They know your good side. They know your bad side. They know your temper. They know your weaknesses. And if your friend is not, if your spouse is not your friend, then all that information ends up someplace else because there's no confidence there. And that happens. It happens in relationships. People get married and they're not friends with their spouse. And then everybody at work knows everything about the other person because there's no confidence, there's no confidentiality, there's no friendship. There's just a relationship. And oftentimes that breaks down the relationship and ends up breaking apart a marriage. The best way to go through that is to go through it with your best friend. Your friend that you have confidence in and you can be honest with. Here we go back to Proverbs. Proverbs 27 verse 9 says, ointment and perfume rejoice the heart, so doth the sweetness of a man's friend by hearty counsel. Remember I said we all have issues that we go through. Sometimes those issues are too difficult for us to handle. They're too much for us to bear alone. And all you need to do is you just got to tell somebody. But who do you tell? Who do you tell things that are grieving you and causing you stress and strain so that you can feel better about it? Because oftentimes that's all it takes. Going through a stressful situation, a stressful time in life, or a trial that's just really hard to bear, you need a friend that you can be honest with and just to let them know this is what I'm going through. And oftentimes that's all it takes. After that, it becomes easier. Life is a little bit simpler. And the sweetness of a man's friend by hearty counsel. You can just let them know, I'm going through this. Please help me whatever way you can. I mean, they may not do anything for you. They may not change anything. They may just say, okay, I can understand that. And that's all you need. Proverbs 16, verse 8. Proverbs 16:8 says, better is a little with righteousness. Sorry, not 16:8. I did that. You know how many times I've done that in this study? It's crazy. I've been going through this stuff and I'm reading the verses and I misread what's written down in front of me. And I go to this verse and I'm like, that has nothing to do with friendship. I've done that a lot in the past couple days. Sorry. I was hoping not to do it again here in front of you. That's one of those days. Proverbs 16:28. A froward man soweth strife, and a whisperer separateth chief friends. So you got your best mate, your best friend. If he's one who can't be trusted, and he's going to whisper to the next guy your greatest problem, you're not going to want to confide in him anymore. If you went to a mate and said, look, I'm having some trouble here, and this happened, and I'm afraid that I might be in big trouble. And nobody knows about it, but I'm just afraid that I might be in big trouble. I'm sorry that it happened, and I tried to fix it up as best I could, but I could get in trouble for this no matter what. And you tell that to a mate, and then 4 hours later you get a knock on your door, and someone says, well, what about this situation? Well, you only told one person. So you know you're not really going to have much confidence in that one person anymore, are you? Because he happens to be a whisperer, someone who tells other information that shouldn't be. So a good friend is someone who you can be honest with, and they will keep the information confidential. If you have somebody that you talk to and find out that someone else knows, well, then you know not to tell that person too much more, right? And that friend is no longer as close a friend as they could be. So if you want to be a good friend, don't tell other people what you've been told in confidence. That's simple. Remember, a man that hath friends must show himself friendly. Well, they have to be able to rely on you to do what you expect them to do as well, back and forth. Proverbs 27:17 says, iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. Remember I told you we're not made to go through exclusively on our own. Revelation 4:11 says that we're here to glorify God, and we're here to communicate with men, to deal with men. A way that you grow, a way that you guys get through your daily walk. You go to work every week. You have 5 days of dealing with other people, right? You can deal with them because you're here getting strength from your church family, your friends, people that are like-minded, Christians who know the Bible, who want to serve God, who are looking for God's will and way, right? You come into this church, you get strengthened through this time. I've had people say to me, I don't need church. I don't need church. I can worship God on my own. I'm fine. Yes, you can worship God on your own. But if you don't have the friendship or the strengthening or the interaction with people regularly, then you only have the influence that the world is putting on you. You only have the ideas and the focuses that you see at work in front of you. And if that's all that you're seeing, and you don't have a friendship or have a relationship with someone of like-minded, you're going to be turned that direction. Your friends influence where you go, how you go, what you do. I'm not saying you can't have friends that are in the world. I'm saying that those friends shouldn't be your closest friends. Your closest friends should be the ones that you have that are same mind, same focus. You're in church. You love the Bible. You love God. You want to see what God has for you. You want that strength to get through the day. I'll be honest, I can't. If I miss a day for one reason or another, sickness, or I'm missing that strengthening and that help. And then the world seems so much more in my face and there. And I don't even have the influence of television in my house. But it's still, you miss that friendship, you miss that strengthening, you miss that iron sharpening iron, the countenance of men. You need that interaction, you need that friendship, and that's why we have Sunday services. I mean, it'd be great if you could have a time when you met outside of the services, and you had friends that were in the church, and you didn't just see them at church, but you saw them Friday afternoon or Friday evening for coffee, or you went and had dinner with somebody because you just felt like it was time to strengthen that friendship, and have that time when you can have somebody there that you can confide in and be honest with. Honesty, confidentiality in friendship. If you don't exhibit those things, you're not going to get very many friends. So if you're one to be known to talk, you're not going to be one to be known to be confided in. So if you want to have friends, you must show yourself friendly. Continuing on in 1 Samuel, verses 4 through 7. Then said Jonathan unto David, Whatsoever thy soul desireth, I will even do it for thee. And David said unto Jonathan, Behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I should not fail to sit with the king at meat. But let me go, that I may hide myself in the field unto the third day at even. And if thy father at all miss me, then say, David earnestly asked leave of me, that he might run to Bethlehem his city, for there is a yearly sacrifice there for all the family. And if he say thus, It is well, thy servant shall have peace. But if he be very wroth, then be sure that evil is determined by him. Jonathan is helping David out. So friends are people that will support you in some way. They're going to aid you in your endeavors. Now, David's endeavor here was to not get killed. And hopefully, if you have a friend and somebody's out to kill you, your friend is going to help keep you from being killed. But they had a concern for each other's welfare. Okay? Jonathan was concerned because of the actions of Saul, and David was concerned because of the actions of Saul, and both of them saw the need to have something done about the situation. A friend is someone who will step up by you and help you in your situation, whether it's something work-related. I mean, you could be struggling with your garden work, and a good friend will come by and say, yeah, I know how to do that part, and give you a hand, right? Struggling with something that you don't even know anything about in your life, and give you some advice or some information that allows you to understand it a bit more and help you get through it. I'm being vague because I don't want to bring people into conversations. I've got all these things going through my head about situations, but I don't want to start naming names and, I was talking to so-and-so and this person. So friendship is, if you want to be a friend, you want to be helping out. If you want friends, you should be helping out those that are around you that you consider friends, so that you can show them that you're friendly, and they will in turn return the favor. This is not really on this point. Okay, sometimes to be a friend, you have to do something you don't want to do. But if you have a true friend, they're not afraid to do this. Proverbs 27:6. And they're doing it to help you, not to hurt you. Proverbs 27:6 says, "Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful." Faithful are the wounds of a friend. Someone who is willing to tell you when you're wrong. Oftentimes, we don't do that for our workmates because we don't want them to think ill of us. We don't want them to think bad of us. Oh, what if I told them what they're doing is against the law and they're going to get in trouble for that? Faithful are the wounds of a friend. A friend is someone who will tell you your faults and inform you of the sin that they see in your life that you may not see. And they're going to tell you that because they want to help you. They're not there to hurt you. They're not there to cut you. If they wanted to hurt you, they wouldn't have told you about the problem. They would have told someone else, right? They would have said, "Oh, by the way, I know this about so-and-so." That's going to hurt you. But if they come to you and say, "Hey, I noticed this. Is there anything that you need help with, or can I assist you? Am I seeing something wrong?" They're going to come see you about it, not the rest of the congregation. To tell you about, "Oh, Nathan does this on Friday afternoons at 4:00 every Friday," and they're gonna say, "Hey, I noticed you're struggling in this area. Can I help you out? Can I be a friend? Can I come by and help you with those things?" This is not something that you're going to do so that you can hold some sort of leverage over your friends. That's not friendship. If you do that, you say, "Oh, I saw you do this, I'm going to tell Pastor." That's not being a friend. That's gaining some gossip so that you can have some sort of power over somebody. And those are people that manipulate and control and try to. That's not friendship. If somebody does that to you, obviously you know straight away, well, they're not my friend. And if you want friends, don't do that to other people. Be honest, be confidential, be helpful. Don't be trying to find some way to get an upper hand. I've actually had somebody say this to me one time. They found out about a situation that I had been through. And they said to me, "Right, so what we need is this, this, and this happen." And I said, "I'm not out to get revenge on anything that happened. It's happened, it's gone, it's done." Well, those people you got to be careful about because they're only after power and revenge. And us as Christians, we're not after power or revenge. They shouldn't be a part of our lives in any way for any reason. We win. There's no reason to fight about it. You know what I mean? I mean, we have our Christian warfare. We have our fight. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying we don't have to be underhanded. We don't have to be lying. We don't have to be cheating. We don't have to be unfriendly because we win. You can deal with the lost world and be friends to them, though they may not appreciate it or understand it. They won't. Half the time you'll do something and they're just like, "Well, why would you do that?" They can't comprehend the fact that you're just doing it to be a friend, to be a help. To them, they're thinking you're doing it, well, he's got some angle. He's looking for something out of this. Because that's the way that they think. But as a Christian, we don't think that way. We should be friends to everyone. We want them to understand and know the gospel, right? And you can't give them the gospel. You can't tell them they're wrong unless they count you as a friend. You can witness and you can preach the gospel in the street, and God works through those lives. But the people that you have interaction with all the time, they're not really going to trust you unless they can see in your life those things happening. And they're not going to really want to change what they do unless they can see that you are a friend and that you are true to what you say. So we're not after vengeance. We're not after trying to get some leverage on people. We're after being a friend to them. Skip down in 1 Samuel chapter 20 to verse 14. And we'll look at this next section. And thou shalt not only, while yet I live, show me the kindness of the Lord, that I die not, but also thou shalt not cut off thy kindness from my house forever. No, not when the Lord hath cut off the enemies of David, every one from the face of the earth. So Jonathan made a covenant with the house of David, saying, let the Lord even require at the hand of David's enemy. And Jonathan caused David to swear again, because he loved him, for he loved him as he loved his own soul. They were committed to each other, loved him as he loved his own soul. Who do you care about the most? Almost everybody can say it's you. Most people are looking after themselves. They mostly care about themselves. It says here, Jonathan, because he loved him as he loved his own soul. He loved him as if he was his own. If you don't have children, it's not really an analogy that you can hang on, but when you have children, they're your children. They've come from you, and you'll do just about anything in the world to protect them, to provide for them, and to keep them, because that's in your nature. They're you. And David wasn't part of Jonathan's life. Wasn't part of Jonathan as far as his family goes. But Jonathan said, I will do, it says here that he will do just about anything that needed to be done for David because he was his friend. There was a commitment there that they made to each other, and it was good for all time. Unchangeable. Didn't matter what the weather was, didn't matter how you felt, didn't matter what you said. I forget the comment. I read something recently. It's about character. Can't remember exactly what it says, but basically it was the way I treat you. Oh, I'm going to mess it up. I'll have to let it go. Sorry. I can't think of it. I'll have to find it again. Proverbs 17:17 says, a friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born of adversity. A true friend is not going to care what you've done to them, what you've done in life, what you're going through. They're just going to be there because they're your friend, right? They're those people that no matter what's going on, you can call them. You could be in jail, and there's somebody that you would say, hey, I got picked up for this. It's bogus, but I'm stuck. Can you come get me out? And they'll do it. Doesn't matter where you're at. Doesn't matter what you do. Then there's those people that you call and they say, yeah, good luck, bye. You wouldn't call them because you wouldn't count them as a friend, would you? Now, I know it's extreme, and as Christians, we're not looking to find our way into jail because we do things decently in order and correctly. But as an extreme, you and I know if you're in that situation, you're going to call somebody that you count as a friend. And if somebody called you in that situation and you were trying to be a friend to them, you wouldn't turn them away. You would find a way to go help them out, right? Especially if you're trying to reach them for the gospel. And there are people there. I have people that are lost, unsaved, in the world. I've witnessed to them, but they won't get saved. I'll get calls from them. Hey, I'm not doing good. I'm having this tough time and I can't get through this. I'll get calls from them because they know I'll stop and I'll talk to them and I'll listen to them and I'll go out of my way to help them. So they count me as a friend. You need a commitment there. And it doesn't matter what your situation is. You're not going to blab it off to the news media to get some story, right? Not that any of us have that issue here. We're not really being chased after by the news media, right? 1 Samuel chapter 20, verse number 30. My nose is getting worse the longer I talk. Then Saul's anger was kindled against Jonathan, and he said unto him, Thou son of the perverse, rebellious woman, do not I know that thou hast chosen the son of Jesse to thine own confusion, and unto the confusion of thy mother's nakedness? For as long as the son of Jesse liveth upon the ground, thou shalt not be established, nor thy kingdom. Wherefore now send and fetch him unto me, for he shall surely die. And Jonathan answered Saul his father and said, Wherefore shalt he be slain? What hath he done? And Saul cast a javelin at him to smite him, whereby Jonathan knew that it was determined of his father to slay David. So Jonathan arose from the table in fierce anger, and did eat no meat the second day of the month, for he was grieved for David, because his father had done him shame. Now Jonathan is David's friend. And at this point, he's taken a stand for his friend, so much so that even his father has basically cursed him and thrown a javelin at him to say, get out of here. Not a lot of people in the world that you might do that for, is there? Not a lot of people you would stand up against your own family in defense for. But if you have a friend, and you have a friendship like David and Jonathan had, it's no big deal for Jonathan. He knew David did nothing wrong, and he knew that, he probably even knew that David had been anointed. And Saul's trying to use logic like, well, as long as he's around, you're never going to be king. So I'm just trying to fix it so that you can have it. He's trying to, remember, leverage things, get influence, change Jonathan's mind about David. Jonathan and David's relationship, friendship, was strong enough that it didn't matter to Jonathan what his father said or did about it. He was going to stay faithful and loyal to David. He was going to help him out wherever he could, whenever he could. He stood up for his friend because his friend was right and his dad was wrong in trying to kill him. Right? And if you have friends, when things happen that are against you, you hope that your friends will stand up for you. If they won't stand up for you, they're not your friends. If you won't stand up for someone else when you know they're being wronged, then don't expect someone else to stand up for you. And you don't, I keep going back to this. We have to deal with the world. We're in the world. There's going to be situations where you're standing up for somebody that's not saved because of one reason or another. And I'm not saying you're standing up for them because you want them to realize that they need to be saved. You're standing up for them because somebody else is attacking them in a wrong way or trying to undercut them in a wrong way, and you know that it's wrong. And we as Christians want to operate on what is right, so you stand up for them because what's happening to them is wrong. And when they see that happening, there's really no reason for you to do it except that it's wrong. Then they realize who you are, that you are their friend, and they may in turn be a friend to you. Also, the flip side is true. Not only should you stand up for your friends when there's wrongdoing being done to them, your friend will also stand against you when you're being wrong or when you're trying to do something wrong, right? Have you ever been involved in some things and mates look at you like, we shouldn't be doing this? And most of the time, you've got such a friendship that, yeah, it's okay, we won't get caught, it's fine, we'll just go ahead and do it, and you go on and do it. But the guy that says, no, this is wrong, you shouldn't be doing this, he's the one you should actually be focusing on. That's the person that's your friend. When you're doing something wrong, and they come alongside and say, no, don't do that. This one's a tough one, especially for us guys. 1 Samuel 20, verse number 41. And as soon as the lad was gone, now you know the story, I don't have to explain all of it. Shoot the arrows, go away, and he's basically sending David away. And as soon as the lad was gone, David arose out of a place toward the south and fell on his face to the ground and bowed himself 3 times, and they kissed one another and wept one with another until David exceeded. David finds out here that there's absolutely, absolutely certain that he has to leave. Saul's not going to do anything except try to kill him. And David and Jonathan wept and kissed each other because they were going to be separated for an undetermined amount of time. There's a bit of genuine emotion there. A lot of times, and this has happened to me, I'm guilty of the same thing. I've had to leave a situation where I had friends, I had good friends that I would rely on greatly. I had to leave them, but you always hold strong, right? And you're sorry that you have to go, there's circumstances happening, you have to be separated, you don't know when you're going to see each other again. David and Jonathan here wept and kissed each other. And oftentimes in those situations it's hard to deal with, and you do want to kind of cry about it because you don't know what's going to happen, you're not sure. But we always stay strong and play the man, as they say. But among friends, emotion is not a problem. And true friends won't be put out by a little bit of emotion because they're your friend. And if you haven't got friends that you can have some emotion with, then do you have friends? Because most of us are still trying to maintain our posture and integrity, right? Friends have genuine emotion. I've got to close, so let's do this last one. Verse 42, and Jonathan said to David, go in peace, for as much as we have sworn both of us in the name of the Lord, saying, the Lord it be between me and thee, and between my seed and thy seed forever. And he arose and departed, and Jonathan went into the city. Their friendship was strong because God was at the center of it. They had the same faith. Does that make sense? The Lord between me and thee. God is our connection. And for us, here, God is our connection. Most of us wouldn't know each other if we didn't have God, right? I mean, some people, I'm from America. I know you guys know that. I wouldn't have come here if it weren't for God. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for God. I wouldn't know half the people I know if it weren't for God. And if God is the center of your relationship, or God is the point of your relationship, and you're seeking God, just like a marriage works because both seek God. And if God is the center and you're going towards God, you get closer and closer as the days go on. People think, you can't get any better than the wedding day. Well, it gets better as you draw closer to God, and as you grow together, and as you learn together. The more you get closer to God, the more you get closer together. The same thing with friendship. David and Jonathan had God as their focus and has God as their center. And if God is your center, your friends become closer as you get closer to God. And we're always supposed to be striving to get closer to God. Remember, Jesus is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. Most people say, I don't have any friends. Well, if you're saved, you got one. You got one that'll never leave you. never forsake you. And you can tell him anything, and he's not going to blab it to the next guy. You can tell him anything. And that's what's so great about friendship. It's great to have a friend here on this earth that you can talk to, that you can speak to, that you can be honest with, that you know will correct you. But if you're not willing to do that for someone else, then you're not going to get the friends that you need. But don't forget about Jesus. He's there all the time. And if he's your friend, as he should be, if he's part of your life, if you've been saved, he's your friend. And he can strengthen you and help you when no other friend can. But it is nice to have those friends. So if you want to be a friend, if you want to have friends, don't expect them to show up without being a friend. And you can be a friend by being honest, by helping out, by being committed, by being loyal, by having some genuine emotion, and by having God as the center of your relationship. Friendship. I know we're old for friends, but we all have friendships, whether it's our spouse, whether it's a mate at church, and you need to be careful who your friends are. They'll determine what you do and how you do it. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we do thank you for being our friend. We thank you for the opportunity that you give us to speak with you daily, to confide in you, to draw our strength from you. And as we go through this life, I pray that you would just help us to understand friendship, help us to understand our true friends, and help us to be a friend to somebody, that we might be able to strengthen them and help them along through their walk and through their life. We thank you for the friends you give us. Help us to be mindful of those things as we go forward this week. In Jesus' name, amen.